All right, everyone, we're going to call this to order. First order of business is approval of the agenda we have in front of us.
A motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Approval of the minutes from last month, if there's a motion, if there are no revisions to it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything from staff report? All right, let's jump in. Case number 479, COA requested by Southern Security, FCU, Catherine Stewart, for changes to previously approved COA located at 426 South Lamar Boulevard.
Yes, sir. In December, they were granted approval to install an ATM on that recessed facade of this building. It included removing the large window and installing the ATM to the far side. They now return with a slightly different location for the ATM due to some conflicts internally with the fuse box or some technical problem. So they requested that the location of the ATM be instead placed between the window and the door. Can you show those pictures? Given the prior approval, the commission will need to determine if the requested modification is still compatible given the considerations that were evaluated in December. And we recommend that you evaluate the aesthetic impact of the changed location in considering this request. And if you can pop up the pictures.
So the window and the ATM are basically trading places,
Yes.
essentially. Any discussion among the commission?
I move we approve.
Second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye. None opposed. All right, next, I believe Kyle is going to recuse himself, although technically I think for complimentary reviews, we usually say you don't have to, but it's up to Kyle if he wants to. Complimentary review for renovations to exterior structure located at 922 East Jackson.
Mr. Chairman, I'll need to recuse myself as well, I'm afraid. Just as complimentary.
Complimentary, yeah,
Right.
okay, right. Well, he earned his money, he made a motion tonight.
Okay, this is a request on a proposed new set of awning structures and fence coverings for St. Leo's, which currently uses several umbrellas. And they would like to have something that they feel is more protective. That would be a awning over the seating area rather than the umbrellas that would still have the heating and fans and things. And it would be a separate awning over the door that would have clear vinyl sides for protection. And thirdly, it would be a vinyl structure around the fence, which I believe is intended to keep leaves and brush from blowing in on the patio area. All of the awnings are to be made of a vinyl material, white for the awnings, green for the fence covering. This is the patio area that they lease from the city. The historic, the guidelines related to awnings and canopies state that the canopies should maintain rather than disrupt architectural rhythm of the buildings, and a pole-supported canvas is preferable to the addition of non-historic porch vinyl or metal awnings. That being said, unlike many buildings around the square, this building dates from the 1950s, and materials beyond canvas were being used, although historically this particular building never had any awnings on it. So they would like to talk to you a little bit about this. Any questions for me?
If y'all want to come on up and speak to us, please.
How are you guys? Doing well. What would you like to know, or what kind of information can I provide you? I guess just to start at the beginning, we put these umbrellas in 2021. They are installed like one post that has 4 umbrellas that come off of each. Essentially, it really doesn't provide coverage that works. I mean, it's really hard to staff, and if there's any kind of rain, like on double decker or whatever, you're just scrambling. Either you're, someone's losing a shift or a guest can't wait comfortably. So we're just looking for a better solution. That is one part of it. The other part is that we kept the original storefront the same. We never changed any of the windows or the doors, and heat and air is a really big issue. So we would like to put this vestibule where the clear would be, mostly for both keeping in, cool air when it's 100 degrees outside, and then keeping in the heat or during the winter, but also as a level of crowd control at that front door, which when, Oxford swells, people just come and line up and stand there, and it's really overwhelming for the people who are seated at tables and for the host stand, et cetera. So both function, and hoping that it's more aesthetically pleasing actually than the umbrellas. We've found them a bit hard to keep up. They are canvas, and that canvas, we've had it power washed several times trying to maintain, a really nice looking exterior, but they do not wash easily. So the idea about the vinyl for the awning is that it could be cleaned much more easily. We could also just do vinyl on the top and then put canvas around the sides, so you wouldn't really actually even see the vinyl, but it would be a much more functional material. And then similarly, all of those magnolia trees that are at the federal courthouse and stuff, all of those leaves, and I guess it's just kind of like the wind pattern of that street, but they collect right there on our front porch. So we would rather not have to, be blowing it off at 6 in the morning every day, me or my husband, and just help keep a much tidier area is the idea about the fence there, as well as, again, being more comfortable for guests when they are seated out there and allowing us to have service out there more consistently.
Okay, thank you. So Pep talked to the commission. This is a complimentary review. It's important that we make sure that applicants in a complimentary review leave understanding what our thoughts are. The worst thing in my mind that can happen is they leave thinking, all right, this is great, and come back and get a different view, or leave thinking, well, that went horribly, and then they actually were gonna, or get nothing and it was approvable. So let's make sure that we give feedback. So I'll open it up to commission to give feedback first before I speak. Anybody?
May I add one other thing? Sure. Sorry. Just to say, where we have our fence post now and where the umbrella poles are, they are mounted underneath our brick. Our intention would be that the awning would be supported by those same places where they're placed, or where those posts are, and in the same manner, and then the only attachment to the building would be with caulking. So it wouldn't be, structurally interfering with the face of that building, which when we made it more, when we changed it, originally we kept the original facade in terms of the big tile, but we changed it to gray rather than the maroon, which was actually a tile that was no longer in production. We didn't even really have an option about that, but that's all.
Just to get an idea of the vinyl, does anywhere else around the square they don't really have it, do they?
So
It's not like, is it a plasticky?
it looks like canvas.
Okay.
It looks like on the next page, when you see those examples that we pulled, those are from the same people who we would have do this. They're based in Memphis. He was actually going to call in, but I don't know that he has, but So those examples are made out of that material. That vinyl is fire retardant, and it is just an outdoor, it's a heavier duty, it's better than canvas, but it is my understanding that it looks extremely similar. Of course, the clear plastic vinyl that would be just for the vestibule is just that. It's made to almost look like a window. It would be on us to keep that looking nice. And again, that area being shielded is really all about temperature control.
Across the street at Tico's, you know, I can't think about it unless I'm standing there in front
They
of
have
it.
something really similar.
Okay.
It is not really kept up.
Right.
But it is black, and I'm not sure the material, but it is,
Similar.
in essence, it is the type of awning situation we are going for.
Is that the color combination? You're right.
I don't know that that is a completely accurate depiction just because it's imposed onto that picture, but yes, we would want to go for like a darker green that would go with the landscaping. We would keep our planter boxes. We would keep essentially the same fencing that we have now with the plants coming over. That was the idea about the bottom. The top part, if we go for a dark material on the top, it will really limit the amount of sunlight that would come in through the store windows. And so we don't want to do that. We wanted to keep it light like our existing umbrellas so that that natural light doesn't get lost.
And fencing is full time.
We have it up all the time, yes. It's in existence now, and it's for our ABC permit out there.
But are you asking about the green, the new fence material?
Oh, yes, the idea is that it would go exactly where our fence is now. Again, we would maintain our planters. The green pieces would go in between them, just making a more full coverage, again, mostly so that trash and leaves and all of that stuff just doesn't blow in constantly.
Emily, is there some reason other than cost for the green stuff? Like, why not just build the existing fence there to be solid instead of wire or whatever it is?
Ben, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I think this application is considerably different than most that you actually get, because this is actually a shared space. So it's inside the city right away. The city leases it to the business, and by doing that, they're subject to the design, the shared space design guidelines, which the commission has received. So most importantly, I think we've discussed this over the years. The design guidelines outright don't allow fabric. It encourages a open fencing like what you already see. So to suggest a solid fence, it's not allowed.
I assumed as much. That's why I asked the question.
Fair enough. Leading the witness.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, I don't think I'm opposed to an awning in general, but where I have issues are perhaps more with the vestibule and the green covering out front. This is, like, I understand all the reasons that y'all want to do this make perfect sense, but this is also stuff that, for better or worse, y'all are at a really, really visible point, right? And you're asking for stuff that most of some of this stuff nobody else has, right? And something like this gets approved, and then we're facing more and more applications along the same line. So that's what I struggle with about this more than
Yeah,
take that for what it's worth, I guess.
I'll jump in to piggyback on that. I am unfortunately very negative on it. I always want to say Historic Commission, we are an aesthetic review. So I hear it doesn't fall on deaf ears, the matters of, staff and patronage and having to clean it and, you know, for, business viability, profitability, et cetera. But unfortunately, it's not our purview. You know, we're here to review proposals based on the historic guidelines that we have to review by. Now, I'm only one vote, and you are missing one person who would be here. But for me, you know, we have a number of points that we're supposed to review by. Setback and rhythm are the two where this just totally breaks down. So it being a non-contributing building is one thing, but we have a historic square that we have to think about. And you've got a wall of storefronts there that now setback and rhythm are totally broken by this appendage on the building. Additionally, it doesn't meet the shared space guidelines. So, I mean, I think that we're here because you and staff wanted to be heard, but I look at this and I don't even think this is approvable by the shared space guidelines at all, period. At the end of the day, I think if they're following their own guidelines, they're not getting approved by staff or the board. But for me, I hate to say it, my vote, the whole thing is just not approvable by the guidelines that we have to review by.
What, so the shared space guidelines I find a little bit confusing. So there's pictures in there of, you know, it says approved or like acceptable, and there's a picture of a red vinyl fence. And then there's one next to it that is a red vinyl fence that has a logo on it. So I guess I find that a little bit confusing. I do understand the wanting visibility in a fence. If the bottom part was to change, would the awning be something that could be considered? That's one question. The other question is, from the functionality standpoint of the vestibule being clear, I mean, if we were able to do the awning and then have the clear part just really based on functionality and utility usage, et cetera, I guess my questions are around that. Like, if the bottom part changes, does that change for you guys? And then the other question I have is, you know, I haven't paid attention to all of the other things, but I know you have dealt with a lot of these, you know, usage of these other places. So I guess I feel, are places like the Velvet Ditch and stuff non-contributing? Yeah. I mean, you know, so like they have now what's going in, and they have a, you know, like a tractor trailer parked out there, and so I'm like,
yeah,
you know,
and I expect,
I'm like, what's a,
For the record, I voted no.
yeah, of course, because it's important to us. We want to maintain a really great looking square as well, but just from the functionality standpoint, it's like I feel like we've got to try to find some common ground.
Yeah, I expect that. So I was very clear on the back nine, at least, that first of all, that I was afraid of the precedent that would set. And I was very clear that this does not open the floodgates for every bar on the square to come and ask for this, because that was an existing porch in my mind. This was my vote. I'm one vote of everyone up here, but in my mind, that was replacing an existing porch with a new version of an existing porch, not on the front of the building, on a side street. So I think I was pretty clear on what my vote was based on that. And Velvet Ditch as well, it's not a part of an urban wall of 5 storefronts that now all of a sudden this thing's poking out. So it's nuanced, but it's a different case to me. So I get what you're saying. You want to say a little hypocritical, maybe we're not being treated equally, but it's a very different case to me, for me and my vote. So to me, it just doesn't meet the guidelines.
Okay.
For me. But I think everybody else needs to sound off. I don't want to be a bully, and I don't want to control everybody else's votes. So
I'm not, I think it's the fence, Emily, that's making me, just based on the guidelines, no, I can't sit up here and say I would be able to approve it. I'm not against the covering. Maybe the vinyl scares me, but I know y'all will take care of it and make it look nice. I have no doubt in my mind. It's just the fence that I'm kind of hung up on.
Understood.
But
Is the concern with vinyl the look, or is it, what is it that the vinyl is it just doesn't agree with the other material on the square.
Hey, Scott, we see your name, but would you mind just identifying yourself for us for the record, please?
Yeah, sorry. I'm with Parasol Awnings. We do a lot of the awnings on the square, and I've been helping Emily with this project a little bit, and just was just curious about the reasoning for the vinyl versus the wanting to go with like an acrylic material.
I think the vinyl, and of course it's all gonna look different, it's different thickness and everything. I'm just afraid, I mean, and I know, once again, I know y'all will not do this, but it kind of is the same thing. Just if it's flapping, if it's cheap looking, if it's thin, if it yellows, if it clouds, you know, just anything that it does with weather. But I don't know enough about the material, it might be fine and all of that.
Right. I believe it was Mesquite Chop House right there across the way from Emily. It's the same material that I believe we used on that canopy. So the same concept. And I believe that enclosure that they had there temporarily, same material, same framework, pretty much the same thing. Of course, that was probably 6 years ago. I think the last time that we had visited that, but same material as that one.
I want to ask a question to y'all and put you on the spot, if I may.
Sure.
Because precedent matters. So if we said, all right, well, we'll let this go for whatever reason, we find a reason to say we can approve this, even though, in my opinion, it's against the guidelines, both shared space and the historic guidelines. And then we have every single storefront along Jackson coming in and asking for this exact thing. All along that stretch of Jackson, let's throw in, well, they don't have the sidewalk to do it, but, you know, along South Lamar where Back 9 is, let's go ahead and wrap it around the front. Does that give you pause to think that we could have these awning covered patios with opaque curtains across the front of it in front of every single storefront on Jackson Avenue? What does that do to our historic square, I guess?
I think it makes it more usable. I think that it honestly provides a nice quality of life for the people who are coming to our town all the time and people who live here. I do think that there's issue with people putting logos or having crazy bright colors or not keeping it up and not taking care of it. I definitely see and find a lot of issue with that. But I think that there's a reality to Oxford's growth. And I think that these are things that people in towns and cities that have beautiful historic areas have adjusted and rolled with. And so I don't see it being a negative addition. I see it being a positive one that you do have to have controls over, though. I mean, I definitely think that having fluorescents and, you know, people who don't take care of their things, I mean, that is a problem. And I think that would stands with umbrellas and it stands with everything else. So I don't personally think it takes away. I don't.
Will you go to the example picture with that was in the
Next page.
Yeah, the next page. That came in the package. No, that one. That one right there. Is that vinyl on the entrance door right there too? Or is that like a...
Yeah, both of those, all three of those are vinyl materials.
Okay.
So including the walls on the side, that's the clear vinyl material. That's the fuel that we're referring to. Same concept there. And then the stripe pattern, that's all of material. So it's very difficult, but you can see some curtains there on the side. That's more of this umbrella kind of cloth material. So it's very difficult to tell, if you haven't been in the industry for a long time, the difference from a distance between a vinyl and a cloth we'll refer to as. Just kind of the name itself can bring on kind of a negative connotation.
And I'll say this, interestingly, I'm the inverse of Taylor. I would be more supportive of an awning over your entry, possibly even with the clear sides, possibly, but probably not. I'd be more supportive of an awning over the entry than over the patio. And I'll be honest with you, I look at that and I recoil from that. That was not, for me, for my vote, that was not helpful to see that. I don't know, it's a breakdown of the guidelines that we have to review this by, to me, setback and rhythm along that street. But it sounds like others are softer than me. Okay.
I like that.
It's not that,
Doesn't bother you.
it's not that bad, is it?
No.
I would say, Emily, if y'all do push any part of the awnings forward and you want to use this vinyl material, I personally would like to see a sample of it, the actual material. I think that would help tremendously. I'm not 100% sure either way, but I think I could be open to it. I'm gonna tell you, absolutely not. I'm gonna be the backup right now.
Just want to be clear, we've spoken about this several times. As the shared space design guidelines, as they're written, vinyl material for canopies of any kind, umbrella style, like that's disallowed. So I just want to be clear from staff's standpoint with the design guidelines.
I would take that as good an indicator as anything in terms of what should be done.
Yeah, I think your heavier lift is probably with staff and the board than us personally. I'm not sure this is even going to come to a vote with us, is it?
I think ultimately it's the mayor and board of Alderman that approve this request.
Well, they're going to have very mixed messaging from this complimentary review. So they got to make the hard decision. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right. I assume Andy and Kyle split, so they're not going to be coming back. Can we adjourn with only 4 of us?
They're not patiently waiting out there.
Is anybody on the call? Okay.
Is this meeting forever open? Okay. Do we need a vote on an adjournment with no quorum? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
A motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
It's not that often that